know about y'all, but I just witnessed the greatest, or at least one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history. This miracle win done by the Seattle Seahawks over the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game can easily be talked about in the same breath as past miracle comebacks in NFL history, right? Comebacks such as the 2010 Philadelphia Eagles win over the New York Giants with Michael Vick in the gang, where Deshaun Jackson ran back a punt return for a touchdown, for the winning touchdown anyway, in a game where they were losing the entire game, right? Or in 1980 with the San Francisco 49ers win over the Saints, where they overcame a 28-point deficit to win. Or you could talk about it with the 1992 AFC wildcard game between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Oilers, where the Bills come back and win the game. I mean, I can name many more games, but my point is this game ranks amongst these three, games that I just named off the top of my head as one of the best games, or at least comebacks, in NFL history. I mean, I thought this game was over. I mean, at halftime, it was 16-0. I was getting ready for Green Bay Packers versus New England Patriots Super Bowl, because that's who I believe is going to win between the Patriots and the Colts, right? So I was getting ready for that, and I know a lot of Green Bay Packers fans were too, and I know a lot of people who are betting on the Packers. They were doing a dance and shit, the winning dance, whatever your winning celebration is. I know you were doing that shit by halftime, right? Aaron Rodgers was struggling, but he was still getting the job done. He had 2 picks, but he was still getting the job done, right? And then the Seattle defense, which is the heart of their team, they started off hot with the end zone pick by Richard Sherman, but after that they curtailed off and they didn't do that well, right? Then their offense was terrible. You know what I'm saying? They were non-existent. Marshawn Lynch was doing what he could, but Russell Wilson was terrible. He was terrible. And so by halftime, I was like, this fucking game is over, right? After halftime, the Packers began to get stifled because the Seattle Seahawks defense, whatever was said to them at halftime, they pumped themselves up. Then they became the championship defensive team that they were last year and the last 7 games they were of this season, right? So they pretty much end up stifling the Packers. But then still the Seattle Seahawks offense couldn't get any points on the fucking board. That is until they get into the red zone, right? But they still couldn't get shit done. So the only points that they make is off of a fake field goal, right? Where the backup quarterback throws a touchdown pass to offensive lineman. That was their only fucking points before the fourth quarter. And man, oh man, the fourth quarter. Now, these two motherfuckers right here. These are the two type of players you need on your team if you want to win a championship. This is what makes a championship caliber team. When you have players on your team that know when it's time to get the job done. It doesn't matter how much you're losing by. I mean, after they got that touchdown, right? Well, the Green Bay Packers come back and kick a field goal to start the fourth quarter, right? And the score was 19-7 going into the fourth quarter. I mean, the game was over, right? Russell Wilson was still struggling in the fourth quarter. Actually threw his 4th interception. Going into the fourth quarter, Russell Wilson was 8 for 22, 75 yards, 3 interceptions. Then he threw another interception. And there was something like 7 or 6 minutes left in the game. I can't remember, right? Then the Seahawks defense, who had already been on their shit by the third quarter, they come in, do a quick 3 and out. But the Packers weren't even fucking worried. If you look at their bench, they're over there laughing and joking around and shit. Aaron Rodgers, and he doesn't really show too much emotion, but it didn't look like he was worried either, right? But they should have been. Because that 5-minute mark came, that's when the championship caliber team answered the call. That's when championship caliber players like Russell Wilson and Marshawn, a.k.a. Beast Mode, a.k.a. I'm just about that action, boss, Lynch, answer the fucking call, right? I love it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I got some compiled stats for y'all. In the fourth quarter and overtime combined. Russell Wilson had 113 passing yards with one touchdown, and he had 24 rushing yards with one TD, right? Marshawn Lynch had 77 yards, rushing yards, with one touchdown, and he also caught that very big ass 26-yard completion in the fourth quarter that ultimately led for Russell Wilson's lone rushing touchdown, right? I mean, these dudes answered the fucking call. The Seattle Seahawks outscored the Green Bay Packers in the fourth quarter and overtime 21-6. And if you add in the third quarter, because the Packers were absolutely silent starting in the third quarter, they outscored them in the second half of this football game 28-6. I mean, a completely different Seattle Seahawks team in the second half. And honestly, I wouldn't even say that. It was a completely different Seattle Seahawks defense in the second half. But it was a completely different Seattle Seahawks offense with 5 minutes left in the fucking game. And that's all that mattered, man. Oh, man, I'm so fired up. I enjoyed the hell out of this game. Easily one of the best comebacks I've ever seen in NFL history. I know a lot of Green Bay Packers fans are pissed off right now. And, I mean, I don't blame you. By halftime, like I said, you probably dancing around and shit, slapping high fives at everybody. By the end of the game, you were fucking crying. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame you. And I know Dallas Cowboys fans are just pretty much telling these Green Bay Packers fans to eat that fucking cake. Eat that cake, right? Man, awesome game, awesome game. What do you guys think? Do you think this ranks as one of the best NFL comebacks, or at least one of the best comebacks in NFL history? Do you think the Seattle Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl? I don't see any team, the Colts or the Patriots, beating the Seattle Seahawks if they continue for this last game of the season playing the way that they played in that fourth quarter. I mean, they could play an atrocious game and still come back to win with only 5 minutes left in the game. I mean, that means that they played at their worst case scenario, at their opponent's team's best case scenario, right? And they still won. I don't see anybody beating them. What do you think? Do what you do in the comment section, but be real. This is real talk for real fans. One.